Tell you another thing, when you're dealing with older people, they're the last to know that things have changed. We not your little like the way you talking. I don't get what you mean. We're not your little like for real. Problem, Jay Prince, and I'm gonna tell you like this: if you're 60 years old and you're trying to be a street you failed. You failed. I'm telling you that.
Quavo, Takeoff, they was down here with y'all, but they seen you walking by. He's laying on the ground. You got Mike bending down, and they seen you walking by. What took place there?
It's the crazy thing about the video, right? Is
Yeah, man. We got a little bit straightening going on.
Quavo and Takeoff were down in Houston that night, and everyone remembers the chaos. Witnesses swear they saw you walking by while Takeoff was on the ground, with Mike bending over him. So what really went down? This wasn't some random industry beef. This was a street war that had been bubbling under the surface for a long time, and now it's exploding in public. Mase just lit the fuse. He dropped a shocking bombshell, a private call between Jay Prince and Takeoff, something nobody thought would ever leak. And now, Prince is spiraling. We're talking threats flying, desperate damage control, and full-on meltdown vibes. But here's where it gets even crazier. Mase didn't fold under the pressure. He clapped back hard, calling out Prince in ways that the streets have whispered for years, but never dared to say out loud. And remember, the streets still want answers about what really happened to Takeoff that night in Houston. The whole thing still feels off. Missing surveillance footage, silent witnesses who vanished, and two names that keep coming up over and over, Jay Prince Jr. and DJ Pat. Now, with this leaked private call, the story just flipped upside down. Here's the wild part. If what Mase is saying is real, Prince might be dealing with more than just bad PR. He could be sitting on a cover-up that runs way deeper than anyone expected. People all over social media are going in on Jay Prince, calling him a fake community leader, a cartel-style fixer, and even accusing him of having blood on his hands. And trust me, this ain't your regular YouTube drama recap. This story drags us straight back to Takeoff's final moments, the mob ties connection, and why Prince is suddenly sweating now that the wrong person decided to speak out. Here's how it all flipped. Mase had been chilling, keeping quiet for months. But the second Prince started tossing those sneaky subliminals on the $1 million worth of game podcast, it was game over. The gloves came off. Mase and Cameron had been silent about that night in Houston for a long time, but clearly, Prince crossed a line he couldn't uncross. Mase spilled that he allegedly heard a private call between Prince and Takeoff just hours before the tragedy, and the details are chilling. According to Mase, Prince wasn't giving big bro advice. He was pressing Takeoff hard about loyalty issues, and it didn't sound friendly at all. It was sharp, tense, and real, like someone trying to remind you who's in control. This supposed call went down the very same night Takeoff was tragically gunned down outside that Houston bowling alley. 1 minute, it's just a late-night dice game. The next, an argument erupts, shots are fired, and Takeoff is gone at only 28 years old. The streets have never stopped asking questions about that night, and now Mase's bombshell just made things way worse. After Mase spoke out, Jay Prince absolutely lost it. He jumped on social media tossing slick, veiled threats and even doubled down on those shady comments he made about Offset, basically saying he wasn't really there for Takeoff while he was alive. Prince literally repeated it. You wasn't really there with Takeoff when he was alive, you know what I mean? And that's exactly what lit the fire between Offset and Prince, with Cardi B herself stepping in online to defend her man. Now that Mase exposed that private call, Prince is scrambling for damage control, but honestly, it's way too late. The streets are talking louder than ever, and they're done with the silence. One fan on X summed it up perfectly. Nobody respects Jay Prince after Takeoff was on his watch. And here's where things start looking real shady. Takeoff was barely gone before the heat turned toward Patrick Xavier Clark, aka DJ Pat. He got arrested for the shooting, but something smelled off. Dude somehow posted a $1 million bond and strolled right out of jail like it was nothing. People can't help but wonder if someone with serious power didn't want him sitting behind bars too long. Here's where it gets even wilder. Jay Prince Jr. actually requested that his name be removed from DJ Pat's bond paperwork. If that's not a red flag, what is? They were all together that night. So why erase your name unless you're scrambling to distance yourself now that all eyes are on you? And trust, it ain't just DJ Pat catching the heat. Don't forget about Cameron Joshua, better known in the streets as Lil Cam Fifth. He got snatched up on unlawful weapon charges right after Takeoff's murder, and guess what? He's tied directly to mob ties. People are connecting the dots. Dudes linked to Prince Jr. keep popping up in the middle of bodies, but Mob Ties still walks around acting like they're the victims. The streets? They ain't buying that story anymore. And let's be real, Takeoff wasn't the first warning sign. Remember Duke the Jeweler? He flew into Houston, checked in with Mob Ties, hit a dice game, and left in a body bag. Same formula, same silence. And once again, Prince's name floating in the background. Even that old clip of him calmly telling his shotgun man to fall back gave people chills. It felt too coordinated, like he'd done this dance before. It's looking like a pattern now. Invite rich artists to Houston, make them check in with Mob Ties, host a dice game, an argument pops off, security acts clueless, and somebody doesn't make it home. To this day, not one of the princes showed up at Takeoff's funeral, and people are calling that straight up suspicious. Maybe there's a reason they stayed far away, because deep down, they allegedly know there's blood on their hands. Meanwhile, Prince Jr. stays on social media tweeting stuff like, "Don't wear jewelry around vultures." But if you knew your guests weren't safe, why bring them into that environment in the first place? If your so-called check-in system can't keep artists alive, then what's it even for? Reports say Quavo was arguing with Prince Jr. right before those fatal shots rang out. And now, new clips are circulating showing Prince brushing off the situation like his name isn't tied to it at all. Like Takeoff wasn't just killed under his crew's watch. Things got even spicier after Prince took his little subliminal shots on $1 million worth of game. Because Mase went nuclear. He didn't just defend himself. He went straight for Prince's whole reputation, live and direct. He said, "We are not your little..." And the way he dropped that line felt like a gut punch. This wasn't some casual post. It was raw, coming from the heart, and it spoke for everyone who's felt trapped under that so-called check-in empire Prince has been running for decades. What really sent shockwaves? Cameron co-signed the whole thing. He didn't step in to calm it down, didn't disagree. He just sat there and let Mase cook. And for someone like Cam, who usually plays it careful, that silence spoke volumes. While all this drama was exploding, Offset had been mostly silent, staying low and letting the chaos swirl. But the second Prince tried to drag his name into it, hinting that he was never really there for Takeoff, Offset snapped, and right behind him, Cardi B jumped in, letting everyone know they weren't scared of Mob Ties for even a second. And if you know Cardi, she doesn't bluff, ever. That was the turning point, when fans realized this wasn't just music politics anymore. Prince just got called out, loud and clear, by a major celebrity power couple with mainstream pull. And once that happened, his untouchable street image started crumbling under a public microscope. Here's the part casual viewers miss, but the streets noticed. Big names have been slowly backing away from Prince. First up, Drake. He used to shout out Mob Ties constantly, always reposting, always showing love. But lately, silence. No tags, no mentions, nothing. And remember, Jazz Prince is the guy who literally got Drake plugged in with Wayne and Young Money. If even Drake is ghosting Prince Jr. after Takeoff's death, that speaks volumes. Same with Jay-Z. Word on the streets is Hav hasn't returned any of Mob Ties' so-called peace calls since early 2023. And y'all know Jay, he doesn't do messy public beefs. He just goes quiet and disappears from the picture completely. Why? Because billion-dollar brands and corporate money are on the line. Nobody wants to risk being tied to a federal investigation, especially not with all the rumors swirling around the Takeoff case. The silence ain't cutting it anymore. Mob Ties built their entire reputation off that old check-in system. Fly into Houston, tap in with Prince Jr., and supposedly you're protected. But now, that whole system is falling apart in front of everyone's eyes. Duke the Jeweler checked in, ended up dead. Takeoff checked in, and still got killed. Fans are tweeting nonstop saying, "This is why nobody checks in anymore," because the dudes demanding respect can't even keep their guests safe. Even artists from Cali are speaking up, calling the check-in game a trap, a way for local gatekeepers to flex and play mob boss instead of actually protecting the people they invite. And the second Mase said out loud what everyone's been whispering, that Prince Jr. is just a failed street don, pretending to be untouchable. The internet couldn't unsee it. Now, let's talk about the sketchiest part, the witnesses. The night Takeoff was killed, there were at least 40 people outside 810 Billiards and Bowling. We've all seen the footage, we've heard the crowd, so why haven't more witnesses come forward? Word on the street is some of them got threatened into silence. Now here's where it gets insane. Sources close to Mase and Cameron's circle claim there's a real chance that the private call between Prince and Takeoff was recorded. Maybe by accident, maybe by someone on the line who knew what they were doing. Word is, Cam and Mase might have been holding on to that audio, allegedly, just in case Prince tried to pull any funny moves. Because if that tape ever leaks, it could blow the lid off everything. We're talking proof of what Prince actually said to Takeoff, whether he made threats, tried to apply pressure, or tried to push him into something he didn't want to do. And remember, this isn't just some random dude pointing fingers. This is Mase, the same man who walked away from Diddy, battled the industry, and came back swinging with a vengeance. If that recording ever hits the internet, it's game over for Prince's image. And that's the part mob ties can't shake off. The feds have been watching. This isn't just rap fans on Twitter anymore. Every time Prince or his son hops on camera talking slick, someone in law enforcement is listening. RICO laws don't care if you're a so-called legend. They care about alleged witness tampering, threats, and organized crime patterns. And now you've got Offset, Cameron, Mase, and a whole fan base saying out loud that blood is on Prince's hands. At that point, the label can't save you. The city can't save you. And those check-ins you built your empire on, they mean nothing once your name lands on federal paperwork. Through all this chaos, people need to remember who this was really about. Takeoff, the quiet genius of Migos, a peaceful soul. Never about drama, never about clout, just music, family, and vibes. Prince tried to play the sympathy card, posting on Instagram about how grief is the price of love. But the streets aren't buying that. Nobody wants to hear poetic captions when blood spilled on your watch and you walked away like nothing happened. The streets want real answers, not tweets, not PR stunts, not cryptic podcast speeches. What Mase did wasn't just a simple clapback. He blew the doors wide open. He showed that the fear around Prince is cracking and that real ones aren't scared to speak anymore. The whispers turned into full-blown exposure. From the rumors of a leaked phone call, to the feds allegedly listening, to big-name artists backing away, to witnesses going silent. It's all stacking up, and if Prince doesn't stop trying to control the story, he might just lose it all. Leaked calls, federal eyes, artists ghosting him, and a city that's no longer protecting his name. This story is far from over, and the next move could change everything. Prince snapped, Mase clapped back, and now the world is watching. Drop a fire emoji in the comments if you're locked in, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next update I've got coming is going to be even bigger. See you in the next one.